It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. Thanks for joining me this morning. If this is your first time tuning into this program, this is where we talk about all things real estate here in the Charleston area. I like to take national, regional, local news, apply that to us here in the Low Country, so that if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, you take that information and you apply it. And you also take my experiences as somebody that's been in the top 1% of agents here since 2009, sell over 100 homes a year, and share those stories, those experiences with you, some good, some bad, so that you're a little wiser and hopefully more prepared when it comes time to transact in some way, shape, or form in real estate. Or maybe you just like to stay up to date with what's going on in our housing market. That's for you as well. We focus a lot on education on this program. So that's what this program is all about. If there's anything that I can do for you, as I mentioned, I do run a real estate office. I have a sales team. I work with all the sellers. I have buyer agents that work with buyers. And we'd love the opportunity to earn your business. So if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, feel free to give me a call personally. I can be reached at 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. You can look at everything I have for sale, everything I've sold. Learn more about me, search the MLS. And of course, if you're thinking about selling your house, click on the Sell Your Home tab. You can learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee at 4.5% commission. Essentially, I'll sell your home in less than 2 months, or I'll sell it for half my commission. You can also learn more about my marketing and all that fun stuff by going to listingsincharleston.com or calling me, 843-345-1273. All right, let me jump into this. I'm very excited about this particular program. I have a lot of really awesome information to share with you. And I love this time of year because for me, as someone that sells real estate full time, the first few weeks of the year and the last few weeks of the prior year really give me a gauge for what I think is going to happen. As you know, I'm on the streets. I'm selling real estate, doing it over 100 times this past year. This year, we have a goal of serving 250 families to help them buy or sell or invest in real estate. And very proud of my team and the growth that we've seen over the years. But I also love this time of year because it's when all of the numbers from the previous year get together and they've been seasoned, they've been fact-checked, and they are now ready for me to share with you so that I can give you an idea of what actually happened last year and how I think that's going to impact us this year, 2016. So I'm going to share that information with you. I'm going to go through quite a bit of information, and I'm going to hit all topics. From there, we're going to talk about refinancing. We're going to talk about how to save you money if your interest rate is at a point where you can refinance and save some money. You know, there are over 5 million Americans right now that have the ability to save at least $200 per month if they were to refinance their mortgage based on their current interest rates. It's crazy to me. So we're going to talk about that. And then we are going to talk about the difference between repairing your home, renovating your home, and remodeling your home for the purpose of selling it. I have information with me in the studio, which I am willing to share with you if you go to my website, listingsincharleston.com, and it's a report done by Remodeling Magazine. They do it every year. It's called the Cost versus Value Report. And it's going to show you major projects, mid-range projects, and then small projects. It's going to track the cost, the return on investment, and whether or not it makes sense financially for you to do those things to your house before putting it on the market. That's one of the biggest questions I get is, what should I do to my house to sell it? So I'm going to go through that information. I have the stats with me. So that's the plan for today. I'm going to try and get through all this information. It's a lot to get through. And for those of you that have listened to this program before and know me, you know that I'm a numbers guy. You know that I like to track the market. And that's one of my differentiating factors. I'm an expert in this market and the way in which it operates so that I can then give my clients that benefit of that knowledge when it comes time to list or sell or invest or negotiate, or just give them some general information. That's what I like to do on this program. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to tell you what happened last year, and I'm going to run through things. And as I'm going along, if you think of something that you'd like more information on, or if you say, you know what, I think that I'd like to know what my house is worth or what amount of time my home would sell in this current market, then all I ask is that you go to my website, listingsincharleston.com, put your information in there, and at no cost, no obligation, I will tell you what I think your house is worth. I'll send you an analysis, no cost, no obligation. And if you're really serious about selling your house, then we'll have a conversation about that. But first and foremost, let me get through basically the annual report, is what I'm going to call it, of 2015. And so I'd say that one of the biggest things that I was banking on in 2015 that didn't really happen until the very end was a rise in interest rates. I truly thought that interest rates were going to go up at least a little bit, and they finally did. So I suppose that I'm, for the sake of self-verification, that I was right, but it took longer than I thought it was going to. But having said that, the economy took longer to recover than I thought it was going to as well. We had about a 2% annual increase in GDP. Next year, they're shooting for about 2.5%. But if you think about it overall, we are at the lowest percentage of national home ownership we have been at since 1993. Why is that? That's an incredible statistic in and of itself, that we have, as a nation, not owned this much real estate since 1993. That's the comparison there, is that we are back to 1993 in terms of the percentage of Americans that own their home. If you look at some of the contributing factors, which I'm going to focus on first, number one is all of those first-time home buyers that we have been trying to get into this market that are still somewhat crippled by student loans and rising prices and rising rental prices and just affordability in general. First thing is first, we need to get the economy to a point where it supports younger people that go out and get a job and earn enough income to pay off their debts and also own a home. That's step number one. But number two, as a result of all of these macro level issues, are things like the extreme lack of inventory we have in our market right now. You know, we finished off the year with a little under 5,000 properties available for sale, which was almost 20% less than in 2014. And if you look at all the buyers that are out there looking for properties right now, I got to tell you that, you know, in this program, I try and give people some advice on when they should list, why they should list now. And the big thing about this program for me, guys, is that I am not here to encourage you to do something real estate related because I am in sales. That is not the point of this program. Is I do not want to sit here and, because I'm a real estate agent, convince you to do something now if I don't think that's within your best interest. I will say, however, that when people ask me, hey, should I keep my house on the market during the holidays if I want to sell it, or should I just wait until the second quarter of next year? Or I have someone that says, hey, I've been trying to sell my house for the past 6 months and it just expired with my current agent and it didn't sell. Should I put it back on the market now, or should I wait a few months? The reason I have been telling people to list their house now is purely a reflection of our market at that specific point in time. There is no one answer fits all for every scenario out there. So when we look at showings in our market and we track the showings that we have, because as a community of real estate agents, we outsource the process of scheduling our showings to a third-party company. So I don't have to pick up the phone and call a bunch of listing agents or sellers to schedule my showings with buyers. I have a company take care of that for me. And so the great thing about that is that company tracks all of that data. If I'm going to list a property for $400,000 in Mount Pleasant, I have the ability to look at who is showing properties in that price range and in that location. I also have the ability to find out which real estate agents are working with buyers where their buyers' search criteria fits your home. It's called reverse prospecting. There are all these cool things that I have access to that allow me to help you answer the question of, should I list now or should I list later? I've had some sellers that have said, hey, you need to do some things to your property, and it doesn't sound like you're motivated to sell right now. Why don't we wait? On the flip side of that, I've had plenty of sellers that I put on the market in December, and they are now under contract. Several of them were previously listed for 6 months or more in 2015. And so the reason that I'm going off on this tangent is because showings at the end of 2015 was 20%. Basically, it was a 20% increase over the same amount of time in 2014. So in other words, because we had all these listings drop off the market, yet all the buyers that are interested remained interested, we had almost a 21% increase in showings as a result. So we had less inventory, almost the same number of buyers, and increased showings. Why was there an increase in showings? Because buyers didn't have a lot to choose from. So those showings per listing weren't being all spread out. The buyers had less options. So for the sellers that chose to keep their property on the market or list it, they took advantage of that lack of supply, and now they're under contract. I put a home under contract for full price in less than a week, and it was previously listed for 6 months during the middle of summer. This just happened this week. So I'm telling you right now that if you're thinking about selling your house, there are buyers out there that want properties, and because of the lack of supply, both on the resale side and in the new construction side, they're essentially being forced to wait. So think about that if you're a seller. If you're a seller, you want to sell your house or at least want to talk to somebody about the timing associated with everything, please let me know. I might have buyers for you right now, which is the case with another listing that we just sold. So just give me a call, 843-345-1273, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com, and you can input your information on the contact page, or you can just learn more about me. You can search the site. You can do whatever you want on there. We just updated it. I think the site looks pretty awesome, if I do say so myself, but Listings in Charleston is the website to go to. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I'm going to keep focusing on what happened last year, and I'm going to give you some ideas on what's going to happen here in 2016. And then we're going to switch gears completely. We're going to talk about how to save money when it comes to renovating your property. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I always appreciate those of you that tune in and listen and then give me a call and say, hey, Brian, we're thinking about doing this, or just a quick question for you, Brian. I'm here to help you guys. Obviously, I'm here to earn your business as well, so if you have any real estate needs, whether it be something as simple as, hey, I need a good contractor to put in a fence in my backyard, to, Brian, we're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Anything I can help you with real estate related, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Would love the chance to earn your business. I can be reached at 843-345-1273, or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. And on that site, you can look at everything I have for sale, everything I've sold, search every property for sale in the Charleston area. And if you're thinking about selling your house, click on the Sell Your Home tab, because you can learn more about what I do to market my properties for sale. And you can also learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee. I will sell your house in less than 2 months, or I'll sell it for half my commission. So listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to for that. If you're just joining us, we were talking about what happened in the real estate market in 2015, and we're correlating that now to what's going to happen in 2016. And I just wanted to get through a few more pieces of information when we Right before we took a break, we were talking about the extreme increase in showings in December of 2015 versus December of 2014, and the reason being the lack of inventory. And we were talking about how, right around November, people decide to take their house off the market for the holidays, or they decide, of course, to remain on the market because they need to sell and they don't have the luxury of declining showings because, they've got family in town, or whatever the case might be. And so all of these people came up to me and said, hey, Brian, we want to sell our house. When should we do that? And I analyzed the market. In some instances, we chose to wait, but in most instances, we decided to list. And those properties are now under contract. Properties are selling fast right now, guys. And it might not be that way the entire span of 2016. I'm expecting inventory to increase this year. I'm expecting inventory to balance out. Right now, buyers don't have a lot to choose from. I mean, I could run through a list of hundreds of buyers that have contacted us in the past 90 days that are looking for property and now are just waiting for properties to hit the market. And it's been the case, and we're very thankful that we've had some buyers contact us and say, hey, Brian, this is what we're looking for. And it just so happened that I said, well, I actually have a seller that's thinking about selling in the next 60 days. Maybe they'll entertain selling now. And then boom, we put a buyer and a seller together, and that's just what happens when you have, thousands and thousands of people registering on your websites and contacting you and so on and so forth. And so the point of that story, just really quickly, obviously, is that if you're thinking about selling your house, please go to my website and let me know. I might have a buyer for you right now. I could make this very simple for you and for me as well. Listingsincharleston.com is the website, or call me 843-345-1273. All right, let me jump back into this data for just a quick minute, because everybody always wants to know on this program, well, what's going on with short sales and foreclosures? And that's where I really cut my teeth in this industry. I mean, from 2008 until I'd say about the middle of 2013, that's almost all of what I did. There was one year where I worked with two other agents, and between the three of us, we sold 175 properties, and I think that was in 2011. And they were almost all foreclosures and short sales, both ends of the spectrum, representing banks, representing sellers on a short sale, and then, of course, representing buyers and investors. And I was buying properties myself. We were just really engaged in the market because there was properties to be excited about. Now, if we look at our market, you know how many homes were in distress in Charleston in 2015? Well, I guess the percentage, I should say, 7.5%. That is down 40% from last year. I mean, if I look at the distressed numbers in our market right now, it's incredible. There's only a few areas in Charleston with more than 10% distressed sales. The greater North Charleston area had 10% last year. Hanahan, 11%. James Island, 11%. Hollywood, Ravenel, the Megget area, 14%. And then Folly Beach was the number one area in 2015 for distressed home sales with 23%. Other than that, everything else is in the single digits. There's just not a lot to choose from. I mean, Upper Mount Pleasant, 2.4% of all closings were in distress, quote unquote. So short sale foreclosure, that's what that means. So there's just not a lot out there. And so, of course, as a result of that, investors are having trouble finding properties that they can justify purchasing and fixing up and reselling as a flip. There's just not a lot of distressed inventory out there. To be a successful investor in this market, you have to find deals that other people aren't aware of. Once those properties hit the MLS, they get picked over quickly by people that want to turn a quick profit and flip a property. So they look at the properties that are in the worst condition. That's where you make your money right now, is by buying the properties that other people don't want to buy. That's the long and the short of it. Now, you can still find some good deals on buying property and buying and holding on to them and banking on long-term appreciation. And then, of course, benefiting from rental income. But it's not nearly the 15% return on investment that you used to get when you bought a rental property. Now it's in like the 7-8% range, almost half. It's just because prices have gone up. Buyers are willing to spend more on properties. And in addition to that, everybody else now wants to become an investor because the real estate market is hot. Well, guess what? Buy low, sell high. That's what they teach us, right? So there's still some opportunities out there, but they're few and far between for investors. It's really hard, just being honest, to find those good deals right now. You have to work with somebody that's basically in the trenches that can say, hey, a seller called me yesterday. They're in kind of a desperate situation and they need to sell like yesterday. Are you still interested in investing in real estate? Yes. Okay, great. And I've got one situation like that right now. If anybody wants to buy a triplex in downtown Charleston for a pretty decent chunk of money, because it needs a good chunk of money to turn it around, let me know. I've got one right now. Nobody else knows about it. It's a pocket listing. You're not going to find it anywhere if you try and search for it. You can only do it through me. So listingsincharleston.com or call 843-345-1273. All right, let me talk about the thing that everybody always wants to know about, right? Price. Let's go through this really quickly, okay? In the Charleston area in 2015, the median price was $229,000. That was up 6.5% from 2014, and it was up 26% from 2011. That's Charleston across the board. And I'm just going to read off the counties today, guys. Normally, I go through each individual area, and I tell you how quickly they sold, what percentage did they receive off of their listing. I'm not going to go through all that. It's just too much data for today in a very data-driven hour with regard to real estate and everything I'm trying to get through. So if you guys want to know what happened in your area, you want to know, hey, between $300,000 and $400,000 on James Island, how quickly did they sell? At what percentage did they sell for? So on and so forth. Just go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. I will send you that information. No strings attached. Just here to help. So let's do Berkeley County really quickly. Berkeley County, the median sales price was $201,000. That was up 8.5% from 2014. That was up 23.5% from 2011. In Dorchester County, the median sales price was $190,000. That was up 6.5% from 2014, and that was up 18.5% from 2011. So we still have some room to grow there in order to return to normalcy in Dorchester County. But here's the big one. This is where the majority of our sales take place. I think we had, almost 8,500 closings in Charleston County in 2014, which was up like 13% from last year. But in Charleston County, the median sales price was $294,000, which was up almost 7% from 2014 and up 34% from 2011. Now, I can tell you that in general, closings in the Charleston area were up 14% from 2014. And on average, properties were selling in 62 days and for 96% of their asking price. I mean, guys, it's a great time to put your property on the market if you're thinking about selling. And I have to tell you this too, because I wouldn't be a good real estate agent if I didn't mention this. As a buyer, when you look at these numbers and when you look at the market in general, and let's say you've been looking for the past 6 months, heck, let's say you've been looking for the past year at properties for $300,000 in Mount Pleasant, because it's a perfect example, because I have a friend that's looking at buying in that price range, and he's been watching the market for about a year, and every time we talk about real estate, he's depressed. He hasn't gotten the pre-approval letter yet to be able to buy the house. He has to pay down some debt first. He had a business that hurt him when the economy tanked, for lack of a better term. And so he's now back on his feet in terms of the cash that he earns, but he owns his own business, and he's just, long story short, as he's looking at properties in Mount Pleasant for $300,000, and I'm sure there are plenty of people in similar situations in different price ranges and in different locations, but as they're watching the market, they are watching their price range get less and less and less attractive. Homes that they used to be able to afford for $300,000 look a lot different then than they do now, because prices are going up. Now you tack onto that the fact that interest rates are up a quarter point, and it becomes discouraging. And that's the part of real estate for people that obviously isn't very fun. But if you have the ability to buy right now, you really need to consider jumping off that fence because it's just going to cost you more a little bit later on down the road. Now, do I have a crystal ball? Do I know for a fact that prices are going up? Do I know for a fact that there's not going to be some sort of catastrophic event that ruins the real estate market? Of course not. But guys, if you look at the general market and the stats and the overall trends within it, clearly it makes sense that if you're a buyer and you want to buy something right now, it is going to cost you less today than it will 6 months from now. So if you're thinking about buying a house, I would encourage you to call me. I'll put you in touch with a very seasoned buyer agent. That's all they do is look for properties for our buyer clients and negotiate contracts. So I invite you to go to my website, listingsincharleston.com, or of course, give me a call, 843-345-1273. So that's going to round out the 2015 home market review. And when we come back, we're going to talk about refinancing your mortgage and the potential savings there. And then, of course, at the very end, we're going to talk about what you can do to make money by fixing up your house to sell it, what you should do, and then what you should not do, how to make it or how to lose it. So all that and more as we come back with the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Hear the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 and each Sunday morning at 10 on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. WTMA. Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. You know, I really appreciate those of you that take some time to listen to this program. I know that at times real estate isn't the most exciting topic to listen to on your Saturday or Sunday morning, but for those of you that are interested in learning more about the housing market, whether it be just general knowledge, general education, or you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, I do appreciate you spending some time with me. And if there's anything I can do for you, you're looking to hire a real estate agent, somebody that's experienced like I am, sells over 100 homes a year, would love the opportunity to talk with you about that in detail on your own time. So feel free to call me at your convenience. I can be reached at 843-345-1273. That number again is 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And you can learn more about me, my process, what I've sold, search the MLS. And of course, if you're thinking about selling your house, and if you click on the Sell Your Home tab, you can learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee at 4.5% commission. Essentially, I'll sell your home in less than 2 months, or I'll sell it for half my commission. It's that simple. So listingsincharleston.com. So when we talked about the market earlier in the program, we really focused on what happened in 2015. And there's something that I still want to discuss that I think really needs to be brought to your attention, and it's something that needs to be focused on, in my opinion, just a little bit more than it has been, because there's an incredible opportunity out there for a lot of people to save money on the home they already own. Did you know, I'm guessing you don't, but in America, there are more than 5 million borrowers that could qualify and benefit from a mortgage refinance. According to a new study that just came out, in 2015, the spring of 2015, there were over 7 million homeowners that could benefit from a refinance. Now, with just that 0.25% increase in rates and the increase in pricing, we're looking at about 5 million people that would benefit from a refinance. Now, here's the really interesting part. Now, because of some of the stuff that's happened in our stock market over the past few months, it's been incredibly volatile. I don't know if you guys have advisory accounts, but when I look at my statement, it's way up, it's way down, it's way up, it's way down. It's a roller coaster right now, which is why I think a lot of people are investing in real estate, because it's a little less volatile. But the point is, because of that volatility, interest rates are now below 4% in many instances. So if you're thinking about refinancing, I would highly encourage you to think about that. Here is why. If the interest rates were to go up by, let's say, 50 basis points. Now, that means 0.5%. So if they're at 4%, if they go up to 4.5%, that would mean that as a nation, about 2 million borrowers would fall out of the running to benefit from a refinance. 2 million people would no longer benefit from lower interest rates. If we went from 4% to 5%, then we eliminate another million people. So of the 5 million people that could benefit from a refinance right now, if we go up to just 5%, which is historically still a low interest rate, then we cut out 60% of the population that could benefit from a refinance. And when we say benefit from a refinance, we're talking saving at least $100 per month. There are 2 million people right now in our nation that could save $200 per month or more if they just refinance their house. That's incredible to me. If you're sitting on an interest rate of, let's say, 6%, why have you not had a discussion with somebody about refinancing your house? Now, I think a lot of people have questions about, well, what are the fees? And what if I go to sell my house? And does it make sense to do all of those things? Well, those are questions for your lender because they really need to be based off of certain criteria. Number one, how much longer do you intend on owning the home? Are there actual costs associated with refinancing your house? All of those things you need to know. You need to essentially run a break-even analysis if you want to get specific about it on if this is how much it's going to cost me to refinance my house, and here's how much it's going to save me per month. When do my cost and my savings equal one another? Is it 6 months? Well, if it's 6 months and you plan on living in the home for another 5 years, then it obviously makes sense to refinance your house. So something to think about. On the flip side of that, we're not necessarily refinancing, but there has been a huge increase in people now tapping into their equity. And it's okay. It's okay for you to take out a home equity line. And I know that sounds crazy for me to say, especially as somebody that helped hundreds of people get out of very bad situations financially when they overextended themselves, when they speculated on the market, when they were making $50,000 a year but owned $4 million worth of real estate. I mean, come on, guys. But for those of you that want to take out some equity and then do something with it to reinvest in your property or in other properties, this is a risky thing for me to say, but I think right now it makes sense for you to do that as opposed to doing that right before our market crashed. There was a lot going on at that point in time that created kind of the perfect storm of sorts. So I think that if you're thinking about taking out an equity line right now, as long as you have a plan for it, and it's not that old school, oh, I'm going to take out some money and buy a boat and go on a trip and do this and that and the other and live the millionaire lifestyle. Just make sure you're investing it wisely. But we had about a 35% increase in people that tapped into their home equity lines versus 2014, but interest rates are low for home equity lines, and that's why it makes sense for some people. So let's say that you want to sell your house, and you live in a pretty nice house, but the kitchen is dated, and you have a bunch of equity. Does it make sense for you to pull out money to renovate your kitchen before you sell it? I'm going to answer that specific question when we come back, because I just so happen to have the home remodeling cost versus value report with me, and I'm going to tell you, based on specific projects, how much they cost on average, what the rise or decline in value on that home was in relation to that investment, and of course the percentage return on that investment. Every year, Remodeling Magazine puts out this information. It's free, and I'm going to put it on my website. So if you go to my website this weekend, you will see a report in the blog section. It's going to be in the market update section, and it's going to be a picture of the South Atlantic region of the United States, and it's going to show you the percentage return on investment for certain projects. Now, if you want the full report, I am happy to send that to you. No cost, no obligation. All you have to do is just submit your information on the contact section of my website. I'll shoot it right over to you. I do this every year for people because I get asked all the time, what should I do to fix up my house prior to selling it? Should I put in flooring? Should I put in granite? We're going to talk about all that stuff because it's something that's really important. And that's where, in my mind, a really good agent is either going to help you invest your money or save you money, but they're never going to waste your money. And that's really important. Okay, so stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. That's some really good information coming up, so stick around for that. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Go to listingsincharleston.com if you want the report or if you want to contact me about selling your house. Of course, click the Sell Your Home tab. You can learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee at 4.5% commission, and you can always call me personally, 843-345-1273. Stick around. We've got one more segment, and it's a good one. So this is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. We'll be right back.
More stimulating talk on real estate matters with Brian Beatty next on 1250 WTMA. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. Just a few minutes left as we finish off the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. We have talked about a lot this morning already, and this final topic is something that I get asked all the time. You know, I've mentioned to you guys, and for those of you that follow this program on a fairly consistent basis, you know that I'm one of the top agents in Charleston, sell over 100 homes a year, blah, blah, blah. But the biggest question that I get when I go on these appointments with sellers to represent them and to help them sell their house is, what should I do to fix my property up? If I have X amount of money, where should I invest it? Where am I going to see the biggest return on my investment? This is the question that I get asked the most, other than, of course, well, what can my home sell for? But it's the thing that I really focus on because it would be so easy for real estate agents, and some agents do this, and look, it just is what it is. A lot of people in our industry, you can't police them all. But whenever someone asks the question of, well, what should I do to fix up my house? The blanket answer is everything for some of these agents. And they say, oh, yes, you should do that. Oh, yes, you should do that. Should I put in granite? Yes. Should I do stainless steel? Yes. Do it all. Do it everything. And they'll add some justification. Well, you'll be able to sell it for more. What they don't know is that, well, I can't say that they don't know this, but what they more than likely don't have access to is the home remodeling cost versus value report that tracks both mid-range and upscale projects all over the nation. And it shows, for people like me and for people like you that I can share this report with, it will show the average job cost for something like replacing the attic insulation with fiberglass insulation. We know that it's going to cost $1,268, but the resale value is $1,624, creating a return on investment of 131%. When I have access to stuff like this, it helps me answer the questions of, what should I do to fix up my property? Where is my money best spent? Is it on things that buyers see? Is it on things that the buyers don't see but might catch in a home inspection and ask me to fix? See, these are things that you really need to think about, because at the end of the day, you've got to trust your agent to give you an honest answer. And so first, I want to say that we need to differentiate between repairs and remodeling. There is a difference. When you see something that is wrong with the house as a buyer, you don't just sweep it under the rug before you buy it. You say, hey, well, what about that? Is that going to get fixed, or do I need to take that into consideration in my offer? Are you paying for it, or am I? That's a repair. We try and take care of the repairs before we put the property on the market, as best we can, or as best as you can afford to. But the renovations or the remodeling that we do, the extra things that we do to try and create value, is what I'm talking about now. And so based off of this report, I'm going to give you the top 3 things and the bottom 3 things in terms of a return on investment for mid-range and upscale projects as it relates to the 2016 Cost First Value Report in the South Atlantic region of the United States by Home Remodeling Magazine. I know that's a mouthful, but this stuff is tracked And it's really, really helpful. And again, I will send you this full report. It's about a 12-page report. It gives validity to the numbers that I'm about to read you so you'll understand how they arrived at those numbers. And I also want to say, of course, that every house is different. If you live in a $250,000 house surrounded by homes that are worth $500,000, the return on investment you're going to get by fixing up your home is greater than if you lived in a $250,000 home surrounded by $100,000 homes. If that doesn't make sense, let me know. I'm happy to walk you through that process, but every situation is a little specific. But let me read off these numbers before I run out of time. The top 3 things that returned money, I should say, in 2015 was number 1, attic insulation. It was 131% cost recouped. And then from there, on average in the South Atlantic region, for $1 spent, it was less than $1 returned. So number 2 on the list was replacing your front door. You got 98% of that cost recouped. And then the garage door. If you replace the garage door, you got 97% of that cost recouped. So then, of course, it begs the question, well, why do it if I'm not getting all of my money back? Well, you think about it this way. The worse your property looks or the greater disrepair it's in, the longer it's going to take to sell, which costs money. And just because that's the cost of the job doesn't necessarily mean that that's the cost based on the buyer's perception of how much it basically lowers the value of your property, if that makes sense. So just because it costs on average $1,600 to replace a garage door doesn't mean that a buyer is automatically going to deduct $1,652 for a garage door. It might be more than that. Could be less than that. But what I'm telling you is that every property is case-by-case specific. But when I look at these things, and I know that in an upscale environment, doing a major kitchen remodel is only going to recoup 61.6% on the investment. Well, that's because we're doing a major kitchen remodel in an upscale home that's going to cost, $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 with very custom things in it. So I'm going to give you guys this page of this report because it's relative to the South Atlantic area of our nation. They tracked several projects in Charleston over 2015. So if you want to know exactly what happened in Charleston and the Charleston specific numbers, again, go to listingsincharleston.com, click on the contact page, and I will send you this report. It's very helpful for you to know. But when I walk through sellers' homes and we talk about what to do before putting it on the market, we cover everything from the curb appeal to the insulation and everything in between. And it takes a little bit longer than most, but I want to be thorough about it because the last thing I want to do is invest your money and have it not go to work for us. Classic example is putting in granite countertops. Should I put in granite countertops? Well, it depends. If you're in a neighborhood where everybody else has granite countertops, what do you think the expectation is going to be? But if you live in a home that's worth $100,000 and nobody else in your area has granite countertops, guess what? You're not going to get your money back on that. It's not going to create more value than the cost, more often than not. So if you're thinking about selling your house and it needs some work, please call me before you decide to hire contractors and start writing checks, because I'll tell you what's the standard in your price range and in your location. That's really important for you guys to know. So listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to for that, or to get a copy of this report, as I've mentioned several times. Or you can give me a call, 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Now, I've got about 30 seconds left, and I never really do this on this program, but I'm going to take a few seconds for myself selfishly, and I'm just going to tell you guys that I am looking to hire people on my team. We had an incredible year in 2015, and we're looking to serve about 250 families in 2016 with their real estate needs. And I need more people that are energetic and excited about selling real estate. And I have several types of positions available. So if you're thinking about getting into real estate as a career, or if you know of anybody that might be a good fit, please call me, 843-345-1273, or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's all my time. Have a great weekend, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.